Okay, hey guys, it's Jordan Lee. I figured I would do a video on our sleep journey with Abe since he's been born. Um, oh, excuse me. So we've been trying to night wean him right now because nobody's getting any sleep and it's not any fun. So he came home. Okay, so he was born like around midnight, and he slept, and he slept, and he slept, and he slept, and he slept. And then the next night, and I didn't sleep at all because I was just afraid he was going to stop breathing and stuff. And so I just practically watched him the whole night. And then the second night was miserable. He didn't sleep hardly at all. But, I mean, he was a newborn. He had his days and nights, oh, excuse me, mixed up. And then he would sleep for like an hour at a time, max. And nursed a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. That's gross. I'm working on getting rid of that. Anyway, he nursed like every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, and he was sleeping in the bassinet. And so, since he was spitting up so much because of the dairy intolerance, um, we put the like two books. Excuse me, this is ridiculous. We put like two books underneath the front of the bassinet so that it was like at an angle, a slight angle. It was probably more like that. Anyway, um, and we rolled up a receiving blanket so that he stayed on his side because I was afraid that if he threw up in the night, he would choke on it and like aspirate that into his lungs and stop breathing. So anyway, at about 6 weeks, maybe, yeah, I think 6 weeks, we started bringing him into our bed, and that was like the miracle cure. I mean, he would sleep. I nursed him maybe twice a night, and he would sleep all night. Like, he slept all day and he slept all night. So, like, he was only awake for like 3 hours a day. And so I was worried about that, but like, I think he just needed that sleep. And so, I mean, he was sleeping through the night like at 6 weeks, and it was crazy. Like to think about that. So he's been sleeping. We've been bed sharing since he was about 6 weeks. Excuse me. You can see how tired I am. And he is now almost 13 months. He'll be 13 months on the 21st of this month, which is October. So we've been bed sharing for a while. But when he hit about 5 or 6 months, he stopped sleeping through the night. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he's teething. Well, he didn't get teeth until he was like 9 months old. And then he got like 4 teeth right away, like all of a sudden. And so what would happen at night between 5 months and now, he wakes up on a good night, he'll wake up like 2 times a night and want to nurse. And on a bad night, he's awake every 45 minutes. Like, on the worst night, he'll be awake off and on every 15 minutes for like 3 hours at a time. And then he'll sleep for 2 hours. And then for the next like 4 hours until it's time for us to wake up, he'll be awake every 15 minutes unless I let him sleep on the boob. So yeah, it's ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. Nobody's getting any sleep. So we tried moving him to his crib. He falls asleep in his crib now, and we started working on that when he was about 9 or 10 months, I think. I mean, we'd always like tried, and he was napping in his crib when he was about 7 months, I think. He would nap in his crib. But now he goes to bed in his crib every night but then he always comes into our bedroom because I don't know why. I'm just crazy, but I'm like afraid that somebody's gonna steal him out of his room. And so until we get a video monitor, I'm I'm not comfortable with having him not in our room unless we're awake. So um, anyway, so we've started the process of night weaning, and I'm going off of something that I had read that another mom did, and I can't remember what doctor suggests it, but for the first, it's like a 10-day schedule. And for days 1 through 3, we're on day 3. Like this last night was night 3. From days 1 through 3, you pick. Okay, let me start over. So you pick a 7-hour stretch of time, and actually, a channel that I watch, I can't remember her name. It's something in Kidlets. I'll put a little annotation in here somewhere. She's doing this now, and she explained it really well. And I had heard of it, but I didn't really know how to explain it. So what happens is you pick a 7-hour stretch of time where you want them to sleep for the 7 hours. So like for us, it's like 11 to 6, or like somewhere between 11 and 6 and midnight and 7, right? Yeah, I had to count the hours. So and you don't nurse them through that. From what I had read, you just don't nurse them through that 7 hours of time. So if they want to nurse before or after that, you allow them to nurse. But what she had said was that she read that you don't let them nurse before or after, but if they want to nurse in the middle of that time for the first 1 through 3 days, then you let them nurse, and they can't nurse again unless they've slept for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I can't remember. And for us, that seems to be working. I mean, he is livid. He's livid in the middle of the night. And so the only way that we can get him to stop crying is I have to sit up and like almost like wake him up, and get him out of the state that he's in and rock him a little bit in order to get him to go back to sleep. And it doesn't help also that I'm having like detergent buildup issues in my diaper, and so like he was getting chemical burns on his little pee-pee. And so like last night I think he probably would have slept through the night. Yeah, probably. But at 2 o'clock he was woken up because he peed in his diaper, and he like was like just really uncomfortable and like and like couldn't lay still. And so I was like, maybe it's his diaper. So I thought maybe I'd poop in his diaper or something. So I checked his diaper, and his little legs and everywhere, like his little area was all red. It was almost like a chemical burn. It was horrible. I felt horrible. So I changed him. I put a pre-fold on him that I hadn't washed with this detergent that we're using right now, and he seemed to be okay, but I just felt miserable. So I think that's also part of it. But so, okay, long story short, you pick 7 hours where you're not going to nurse them. But the first 3 days, you can nurse them during that 7 hours if they sleep between nursings at least 20 minutes. Then the next 3 days, so days 4 through like 4, 5, and 6, you should say you nurse them and pat them back to sleep and sing to them. Oh no, you don't nurse them, but you pick them up out of their crib or wherever you're at, and you pat their booty or sing to them or whatever it takes to get them back to sleep. And then the 3 days after that, you don't pick them up, but you can pat their booty and sing them back to sleep. And so I guess after 10 days, eventually, they're supposed to be able to soothe themselves, and you haven't felt like you've just been neglecting them or and I'm not saying the cry it out method isn't for everybody, but it's just not for us. I mean, isn't for anybody, but it's just not for us. It's too miserable for me, and like I said, I'm not trying to state that anybody likes to listen to their kid cry, but I just can't do it. Like, I let Abe fuss. I mean, he fusses pretty hard. I mean, he gets to a good cry, but then we try and go in and soothe him a little bit. I can't let him cry hysterically for long amounts of time. It's just it's too heartbreaking for me. So anyway, we're on day 3, and last night was the worst night that we've had yet. And I didn't let him sleep on the boob, but also I didn't sleep at all, and neither did he. So he's upstairs sleeping right now, and hopefully he'll take good naps. Yesterday he didn't have a morning nap, so that also could have been why. The night before that, on night 2, he had slept the whole night. He slept from like 10 o'clock until 6:30 in the morning. No, 6:15. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is totally working. And then like now I feel super defeated again. So we'll just see how things work out. And I decided to let you know our journey. I think I'm going to be doing videos on that as well. And if you have any suggestions, keep it nice, but post them in the bottom. Thanks. Have a good one, you guys.